Good morning, Steve, Ethos Preparedness. Today we're going to talk about our long, fraught, and complicated relationship with heat. We all know the problem. We need heat, and it's constantly escaping us. Warm bodies are attracted to cold bodies, and once that warmth escapes, it is gone, irretrievable, which is why we're always working to conserve the heat that we've got, such as I'm doing here with this wool sweater, such as my wall is doing with insulation behind it. But alas, regardless of how effective our conservation efforts, heat inevitably escapes. And when it runs out, we are forced to replace it with more heat. This has been the cycle since caveman times, except now, unlike the cavemen, you rely 100% on your local utility service to provide you an abundant, if not infinite, amount of heat. And that works perfectly, except when it doesn't. As we saw in Texas in 2021, sometimes utilities themselves fail to prepare, which means you and I need to prepare for utilities to fail, especially when it's cold outside. We're going to look at some tips and tricks for surviving a winter power outage, starting with some heat conservation techniques. Gather everyone in your home into the same room. That's less space that you'll need to keep warm, and also the concentration of a few bodies into one small room can help warm that room up. Excuse me. No, excuse me. Rude. Put tarps or blankets up over the exterior doors and also over the interior doors of any room where you're gathered. Generally speaking, you want to keep your windows covered and the blinds shut. However, if you see a spot of sunlight, let it in. This will help warm your house up. A clever way to insulate your windows is to spray them with water and then cover them with bubble wrap. This will slow the loss of heat through the glass. I don't have a ceiling fan, but if I did, I'd run it slowly in reverse. That'll blow the warm air down to ground level where we can actually benefit from it. This might sound a little crazy, but another great way to conserve heat when things are really dire is to put up a tent inside your house. Tents aren't only built to provide shelter, they're also built to trap heat. So let's give it a go. There have been better tents, but there have been worse. This will get it done. Drink plenty of hot beverages to keep yourself warmed up from the inside. And we're going to take some of that hot water and put it into a thermos or another like container. Then you take that container and you wrap it up in a towel so that you don't burn yourself, and you tuck on under your sheets to keep yourself warm as you sleep. If you've still got electricity, take a hairdryer, warm up the sheets before crawling in. You can get more oomph out of a radiator by taking some tinfoil and placing it behind the unit. That way some of the heat that usually escapes out the back will reflect back out into the room. For your feet to stay warm, they gotta stay dry. So if you're going outside, take some sandwich bags or whatever bag you might have at your disposal, put them over your socks. If your shoes aren't waterproof, you can make them a bit more water resistant by spraying them down with Scotchgard or even WD-40, and then you can go hog wild. I mean, probably not that wild. If and when your shoes do get wet, you can dry them out more quickly by stuffing them with newspaper. We'll conclude our heat conservation section with a completely unoriginal idea. Wear layers. Your body is a little furnace, and each layer of clothing that you put on serves to trap that heat close to your body. If you've got anything made of wool, take advantage. Wool is unique in that the fibers are hollow. They are made to trap heat like nothing else. And emergency blankets may look flimsy, but they can hold on to 90% of your body heat. This last summer, we thoroughly pruned this massive apple tree. And as we live in a city, normally we wouldn't have kept those branches. But after watching the Texas freeze play out, we decided we wanted to hold on to every means of heat possible. So we cut up the branches and made a just-in-case wood pile. Now, having a pile of wood is great, but knowing how to put it to use is a completely different thing. So tonight I'm going to make sure that I've got the skills and materials to actually build a proper fire. Okay, night has now fallen. I'm still in my backyard. I'm using things from my backyard in my kit, including some fire starter nuggets, striker, a sack of kindling, a few branches from my apple tree, and some paper sacks from the local grocery store that we just have hanging around with our kit. So let's give it a go. This is not my best skill set, my wife will tell you. Okay, mission accomplished. I built a fire. It's not prehistory's most impressive fire, granted, but it is large enough to burn medium-sized branches, which will then break down into coals, which can easily burn larger things like logs or patio furniture if you might choose. I've done this in a chimenea. A chimenea or a barbecue would be the safest place to do this to contain the flames. If you don't have something like that, make sure you're choosing your area very carefully. Place that's free of things that might inadvertently catch. I've got some water nearby just in case I need to put this fire out. And if there's a gas leak in your neighborhood, this is a complete no-go. We can't do a whole module on cold weather preparedness without discussing pipes. If your plumbing's not ready for winter, this cold weather emergency can quickly become a water emergency, which is yet one more reason to have an emergency water supply, which I already discussed in another module. One of your key vulnerabilities is right there, that faucet. Exterior faucets tend to freeze, reaching into the pipes inside of your home. Make a tiny investment in some faucet covers and you can save yourself a fortune this winter, not to mention the terrible headache of dealing with broken pipes in the middle of winter. And as is so often the case, just opposite that external faucet, we have an internal faucet on the other side of the wall inside the kitchen. A couple of things you can do to keep these pipes from freezing. If there's a freezing advisory, turn your water on just a trickle and always keep it moving. Water in movement is less likely to freeze. Also, open up the cabinetry beneath your sinks so that these pipes can benefit from the warmth of the house. And with that, I'm gonna let you get to it. Go forth, be well, and get prepared.